Welcome to PNW Prop Stars, the only Seahawks only gambling show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner. Oh boy, we got the crew together today. It is bushy, bright-tailed, and early out there in Montana with that crisp air. That means we got the rain-making, money-maker, line-maker. I butchered it, but that's okay, from Montana because he's a two-time champion. Who cares already? Mr. Adam Everett coming in with the cold, wintry air. Adam, how's the hobo shack holding up, man? You showed a thermometer earlier. You were below freezing out there, dude.
Yeah, man. So change that from rainmaker to snowmaker or blizzard maker, because that's what it feels like right now. It is below 30 degrees in the hobo shack, and that's just how catfish dedicated I am to this for you folks. I'm out here freezing. Don't worry. I got some warm coffee. I got my hobo hat on. I know it's not a visor, but this is a real hobo hat. Ready to rock and kick your guys' asses again this week. How's that sound to you, Mr. Wilson, the Princetonian of parlays, Princetonian? I'll screw it up just like Clinton does. There you go, buddy.
Well, that sounds amazing, Adam. I'm glad you're staying warm out there. I actually just had breakfast outside, which is feels like an unusual activity for this time of year in New Jersey, but it's actually pretty nice here. So,
oh, this is a lovely time. I mean, I'm in Connecticut. He's down in Princeton, New Jersey. This is still like, this is the sweet spot for this area, the Northeast. This is when you actually want to be here, you know? So, September 15, basically up and until Halloween, you get these 45 days of just like, you get plenty of rain, everything's green again, the leaves are changing. It's quite a wonderful time up here. And folks, so Adam, before we dive in, and Wilson, before we get to the gambling aspects of the show, what's your gut say about this game? The Redbirds are coming to town. Cut to the chase. We win or losing this game on Sunday.
Well, I would like to promise you a win, and I think I pretty much can, as long as whoever the backup for the Cardinals doesn't play. That'd be great, because they always seem to kick the crap out of us. But
yeah,
kind of looking through some of the props and stuff for this game, there's a kind of a recurring theme as to what Vegas thinks is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it looks like they think this is going to be a massive shootout. Both quarterbacks are going to have huge games, and defense optional kind of thing. But I do think that the Cardinals D is just about every bit as bad as ours, in our offense being a little more consistent. I think the Seahawks can come away with the victory here and get back to 500.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a must win early this season. Wilson, are we winning this game? Yes, no, maybe so.
I think this is the easiest game on our schedule so far. I think the Seahawks should win this game. The Cardinals are very dysfunctional. They have bad coaching. I heard it's a Call of Duty double XP weekend, so Kyler Murray's not going to be focused. Got other things going on. So yeah, Seahawks are going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're Seahawks fans first and foremost, and PNW Prop Stars is about looking at those beautiful nooks and crannies of the game. They always say, for years and years and years, never bet on your team. And I say Boulder Dash. I say, we know this team better than any other freaking team in the league, so we could look at these props, and that's what this show is all about, and we will. And then we could lay a little lumber to make some, hey, winning is better than losing. And that's across the board. Win the game, win the wagers, the whole thing already. Just winning is better. So let us look real quickly, or maybe not so quick. We don't want to skip over, Adam's dominance here. Let's see. So let's see here. So gentlemen, let me know if you guys can see this. I hope you can. Is that coming up for y'all?
I don't see anything next to my name. See a bunch of stars.
Yes,
must be an error.
Yeah. Did not compute as Wilson was skunked for the first time. That's pretty good though, right? The first time in 5 weeks. So 4 out of 5 not skunked. In fact, you made money the first 4 weeks. So let's remind folks that you're still in the green, I believe, for the year. Hey, I did okay on my side over there. 2 out of 3 on the bet 1, bet 2, bet 3. Fail Mary didn't come through. And before we get to celebrating Adam once again, because we know this is all about him, that's why he's the alpha of the whole thing. He's center square on purpose, people, right? He's the big hitter. Before we do celebrate him, let's remind folks, hey, bet 1, bet 2, and bet 3. We try to keep it simple here. We don't like to throw math at everybody. $10 a bet. This way we just do some very quick calculations. Bet 1, bet 2, bet 3, $10 a pop. The Fail Mary is your Sunday scratcher, your $1 scratcher. Has to be plus 1,200 odds or longer, meaning paying you more. So that is usually a gut check. Like what do you want to bet on? And we have our reasons why. So before we get to celebrating Adam, we like to look at this a little bit in reverse. Wilson, of the three here, I think I know the answer to this. Which one burnt you the most? You got to get the Family Feud X's up there, dude. You're out of the game. Which one hurt you the most last week and why?
Well, I actually had forgotten about this until you brought up the graphic, but I'm now reminded of how royally I was screwed on the Disley more than 2.5 receptions. I know Adam was too, because we had one thrown right into his hands that he just dropped for no reason, and then another where he catches the ball and then the play gets blown dead. So
yep,
he ends up with 2 catches. That's a tough one to take. That's a tough one to take.
That one was super tough. That one prevented Adam from going 3 for 3 with his with the normal bets, if you will, right? With the $10 bets. And I'll quickly jump in and say we discussed this last week, and I was like, ooh, it's interesting to me that Vegas has put a plus 130 on this and only paying Fant 110. And that was my bet. So and I liked that bet specifically because I thought the Seahawks coaches, Waldron, really specifically, would want to get Fant more involved, and we saw that. Of all my bets, though, the Kamara smash spot top right. It's not fun when you're right about these things, but wow, was that a smash spot? That was like, at some point they're going to screen the ball to him, and we suck at screens. And then at some point they did exactly that, and this thing was a smash spot. So I was happy with my 2 for 3. A little disappointed that I didn't get my band right. Adam called it. I should have been a bit ballsier and leveled that thing into the 31 to 40 band that I would have been cruising, but I didn't. Alas, I still made some money, almost up 22% for the week. That's a pretty good week in my book. However, it's time to celebrate. The man in the middle, there he is, the money maker, rainmaker from Montana, Adam, 2 for 3, and with that big one there as well, the plus 310. So what do you want to say about your winnings once again?
Man, for as much as I just want to take a victory lap and talk about how awesome my bets were, like 2 bad beats. The 2 that I lost were terrible beats in terms of the Disley, 2.5 receptions. Wilson covered it. He's sitting on 2 receptions and drops one, has one called back with penalty. That was a bummer. But really, the Fail Mary bet, that hurt the most. That cut to the core because it was so close. A Walker to anytime TD. Well, we saw his first one, that 68-yarder, right? Gino, over 250 yards passing. He tore up New Orleans. He had well over 250 yards. Penny was 65 yards plus on the ground. We'll come back to that. Lockett with over 70 receiving yards. He definitely had that and tore up the Saints with Gino. But then Penny, the injury, that crappy injury that we're all bummed out about for him, he finishes 11 yards short of the 65 yards. I can't help but think, if he had been healthy the whole game, we'd have easily gotten that. But then again, maybe you don't get the Walker TD then. Maybe that's a penny touch. I don't know. But only 11 rushing yards off to get that Fail Mary there. That was tough. I really thoroughly enjoyed the first drive field goal attempt bet and that coming through. That made my day starting off just perfect. Like, even though New Orleans scored there and everything, like that started off the game good for me, and I had a good time.
Yeah, you gotta love too. It's like, hey, first of all, you're getting paid plus 310 on that, right? So if you lay $10, you're making $31 for a total payout of $41. That's how that would work. That's how that did work. And also, it's like, hey, we deferred and we held them to a field goal. That's so it's a good. It's okay. It's like, yeah, they're up 3-0, but so what? It's the plan is working when you defer and a team only gets 3. Like, you're in groove to do what you want to do there. So nice bets across the board. A little bit snake bitten for Wilson there. This will mean that we're going to be heading into week 6 now. Adam is on a back-to-back heater. He's going to have honors. And with that, folks, for anybody that's listening out there, we show these graphics, and our pretty faces are here for you to see as well. But you can't do that on audio. It's okay. You can, of course, we want you listening wherever you're going to listen on the Seahawkers pod stream. You get that everywhere. That's great. And this show, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. I think it's nice because you get the extra visuals. And Adam, before we do dive into this week as well, you had our buddy DCH hitting you up while you were on the road last week saying, hey, I like the show. I just get a little lost in the vernacular. I get a little lost in the math. So while we got the stuff up here, any particular questions or things we can answer for the folks out there who maybe are just now dipping their toes into the prop bets and all that jazz?
Yeah, for me personally, when it comes to the odd stuff, that's where it gets a little confusing. And while I think the explanation that we gave a while ago about the plus and minus bets here, of okay, if it's a minus bet, basically you have to bet that amount to get $100, right? Like, so for example, my first bet last week was Seattle to score more than 1.5 TDs, and that
Yep.
was minus 210. So the way that I can think of it is I'd have to bet $210 to win 100, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and
Straight
that's
up.
awesome. And that's awesome. But here's where it gets confusing for me. So minus 210, we bet $10 on that, and
Yes.
it hit. What exactly is my payout then? And how do I figure that out?
Right. So, I mean, the best way to figure it out is there's some betting apps or betting calculators online that you can just Google, like, betting odds, American betting odds, and you literally plug it in now. And of course, if you're using the apps, FanDuel and or, DraftKings, you could also go in and before you create a bet slip, and it will show it to you. It will show you the math before you actually have to place the bet, whether you're logged in or not. You could do that, which is super useful. Now, to answer your question, I don't have the exact math in front of me. Maybe Wilson did at this point, but if you're betting 10 at a minus 210, what that means is essentially you are making around $4.20, $4.80, something like that, under $5, right? Because think of it this way: if it was minus 200, even minus 200, then your 10 would net you $5 of winnings. So you bet 10, you take back 15, $5 is your profit. At minus 210, it's more like you've made like $4 and change on that, like 480, 470. Hope that makes some sense, and it becomes a little bit more palatable for folks. And honestly, it's the reason why we keep the bets so damn simple too. It's like we put some guardrails on this thing, like $10, $10, $10, $1, because it does make it simpler to talk through later. Wilson, you're better at math than both of us combined. Anything you'd add for the good folks, or you feel it was sufficient?
No, I think it was sufficient. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I feel better now. Good. All right, folks. So we are careening into week 6. We got the Redbirds coming into the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. May the game be an hour and a half delayed? I don't know. Let's go Mariners. I hope so. For those, I'm a Mets fan, so we're out. So hey, let's go M's. Force a game 4, delay it by an hour and a half, get all that good buzz around both stadiums. By the way, very cool walkabout there in Seattle. Like, I don't think you could plan it better when you got Lumen and is it still T-Mobile? I think, right? You got T-Mobile Park right there, and you can literally just walk across the street essentially to both parks. It's a lovely setting in that part of Seattle. So let's hope it gets pushed back to a 5:30 Eastern kickoff. But we are about to kick off. Adam, it is bet 1, down 1. You are the champion. How are you going to start this three-peat attempt, and why?
You can take attempt out of there. This is happening. So I'm starting with my first down bet. I'm going to organize these much like I did last week from what I feel the most certain about are the easiest bet on first down, and then corresponding going down through third down here. So my first down bet, this seems like a freaking slam dunk, boys. Like, if this doesn't happen, I'll eat this crappy hobo hat. It's 100% wool. I think I'll be okay. Shortest field goal made on the day. It just has to be over 26 yards. Like, nothing shorter than 26 yards. And you get minus 110. Like, all it has to be, no field goal shorter than 26 yards.
Okay, so we're just doing the math. Obviously, we know that it's basically you got to add 17 yards from where you are on the field, right? Because it's you push back 7, and then you have the end zones. So we're talking about kicking a field goal from inside the 10, and that will bust you, right? So a field goal from inside basically the 9, really the 8's to, because you could push that bet. So any field goals within the 8, essentially, you bust. Is it field goal attempts or field goals made?
Field goals made.
Interesting.
I mean, not that you're going to miss from there. I guess
don't get Blair Walsh out here.
I was going to say they can march Blair Walsh out there for some reason, and you have and the Cardinals have a backup kicker. I think still not sure Prater's back for this game just yet. I don't quite know yet, but Amendola missed it end of last week. So with the loss to the Eagles,
right.
Certainly an interesting one. I love the digging. I love that you found this little nugget. Wilson, what do you think of this nugget that Adam has unearthed?
Well, I think we also ought to consider that Myers has the shanks too. So, I think I got a little bit of insurance there. I have no opinion on this. I think could happen, could not happen. Not terrible odds, but yeah. I don't really have
Well,
a take.
think about it in these terms. Like, I mean, if you're inside the 8 and it's 4th down, how many times are you going for it? Like, it's almost a lock that teams go for it right now in this day and age.
It just depends. I'm watching that Commanders game last night. You know, you can beg to do, or you're like, by the way, I ended up watching like the dots on my phone because I just didn't want to watch the game. I was like, I had Brian Robinson in 2 of my fantasy leagues, and I started him and he got the touchdown, which is great. The only touchdown, or is that right? But whatever. But like, you know, they sure kick some field goals within the 5. However, that's a different.
Points were at a premium.
Yeah, very, very different offense, and points are at a premium. So I like the idea that Vegas is saying shootout. And if Vegas is saying shootout, they're usually typically right. And with that, yeah, settling for 3 that close seems unlikely, right? So, and Vegas is with you. Vegas is saying, hey, you got to pay a little bit, but at minus 110, it's interesting. I've never heard of that bet. So I'm just like, thanking you for bringing something new to the surface. I mean, that's a pretty cool one. So, all right, I go next because that's how we're rotating. I am 1 year older than Adam on the nose. Again, folks, March 27th. Yes, we accept gifts. All right, with that, I don't love starting out with a prop on a player from another team. However, trying to do it the way Adam's doing it with like, which one am I most confident with? Well, we have a problem stopping tight ends. And whether they're a real tight end or a made up one. And Zach Ertz is a very good football player. I have to pay minus 155 to get this, but over 4.5 receptions. Doing a little bit of the math here, I went back and looked. Let's see. Ertz is averaging 5.5 a game. That's his average. And he's got ample targets. You know, like this is not he gets his targets. We're bad at covering tight ends. Ertz is a good one. I could see very easily him ending the game in the 6 to 7 reception range, and this hitting pretty easily. Now I got to pay for it again. Vegas agrees. I don't mind paying for a first bet though. Wilson, any reaction to the Ertz flirt right there?
Yeah, you're paying a lot, but I also think I agree with your take that he's going to get 4. He's going to hit that, I think, pretty easily. I seem to remember he's a new Cardinal, but if my memory serves me correct, he's definitely had some very good outings against us in the past. So I like it.
Yeah, he's a good tight end. Adam, and I think before we toss it to the Princetonian, any takes on that? You know, what I think is a pretty simple bet.
Look, anytime you can bet against Brooks or Barton in coverage, do it. Because they are atrocious right now. And yeah, I could see Ertz definitely getting his catches. He was a great tight end. He's in the twilight of his career, but in this matchup, I could see him getting his numbers for sure. So pretty solid bet, man. I'm not rooting for you.
Yeah, well, I am, but not really. All right, Mr. Wilson, over to you. What is your first down bet?
Well, I made the mistake of betting against the Seahawks offense last week by taking under on the Geno passing yards, and I'm convinced our offense is good. So I'm taking Seahawks team total touchdowns over 2.5 at minus 120, which I thought was pretty decent odds. I'm paying a little bit, but happy to pay a little bit for over 2.5 touchdowns, which I feel like this guy's pretty. I mean, that's ranking by confidence. It's my most confident bet, obviously, first down, but I feel really good about that one.
Adam, quick take on thinking that we smash. That means 3 touchdowns, right? That means Seattle scores 3 touchdowns, and that's anyway. That could be Tariq Woolen, you know, doing a jig and taking it in for 6 himself. Touchdown's a touchdown. So what do you think, Adam?
Well, it does align with everything that Vegas is saying about this game. I mean, they think it's going to be a shootout. I'm actually surprised that you have to pay that much for 3 TDs because, I mean, that's a decent amount of points in a game for sure. But when you think about it, the Cards are last third of the league in pass defense. They're last third of the league in red zone percentage on defense. They're last third in the league in third down conversion percentage. Like the Seahawks should run up and down the field on them. So I like his chances.
Yeah, I feel like if we don't hit that, something in the Geno train went wrong, you know, and this is not like a hope strategy. This is, we've seen for 5 weeks and bleeding into last year that And even against the 49ers, we shot ourselves in the foot with stupidity. Like compared to some other teams, we've moved the ball against the 49ers, like between the 20s. We had our challenges, and that's okay. Yeah, it's like if we don't hit that, we're not going to have other fun podcasts on this show that week. It's could be some different discussions. Okay. All right. So now it is on to me for down number 2. All right. I am sticking on the tight end train, boys. And you know why? Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And again, nobody ever went broke taking a profit. So two broke for brokes right there. I'm going back to Uncle Will. I like this idea of kind of, sauntering back and forth. And where I like this one, where I liked Ertz for volume, because they'll throw around the line of scrimmage, little tight end dumps, whatever, just first down throws, because they throw 66% of the time, and they'll use a tight end dump as like an effective run. Essentially, I think they'll do it. Why not against us? The Disley one I like is over 19 and a half yards at -110. So got to pay a little bit. And again, folks that are out there, whenever you're at like -110, that little 10 to, the minus part, that's kind of to the house. That's kind of Vegas saying, yeah, that's about break even. That's about, that they think it's a 50-50 prop in general. And you're paying that 10% VIG that you're paying for, the right to bet. So over 19 and a half yards is 20. And again, to do a little math here, he's averaging almost 10 yards a catch. Okay. 9.8. So right around 10 yards a catch. Sure. He only has 15 targets on the year. So that just breaks down to 3 per game. With that, he had a high of 4 and a low of 2 versus the Niners. But with the high of 4, he also really had, he had 4 last week, and he's only had 1 drop on the whole year. We talked about that drop. He had that other out that was designed to him that was blown back by the whistle, right? So with all that, he's gone over 21 yards 3 times so far. Actually, I think 4 times so far. Yeah, he's gone over 21 yards 4 times so far. The only times against the Niners. So I look at the Cardinals defense. I think they're way more like Atlanta and Detroit and even New Orleans than they are the 49ers. So I'm on the Uncle Will train, boys. Adam, are you feeling the Uncle Will? What do you think?
Oh, I almost doubled down on Uncle Will this week just because I felt like he was going to redeem himself for me this week, but decided to go a different direction. However, I don't think you're off base here. I mean, Gino has been targeting the tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's Fant or Disley. I think if this was a Parkinson bet, I'd probably be like, hey, I don't know, man. That seems a little more unlikely, but Disley's one of the security blankets in this offense for sure. So I like it.
All right, good. All right. So Wilson, it is now your down number 2. What do you got, dude?
Well, I'm a little nervous about this now, looking at the payouts here, but I'm taking the over at 50 and a half. Not betting against offense and not betting in favor of defense, I think, is just a good general rule for betting on the Seahawks right now. It's moved to -105 for taking the over, so means the under is at -115, so the money's moved a little bit. People are taking the under. I think there's a little bit of apprehension around, this is a divisional matchup. There's a little more familiarity that might make it, a little bit more of a sort of attrition type game, but I don't think there's a lot of familiarity. The Seahawks are a very, very different team than they were last year, in good and bad ways. And I think that will open things up a little bit, just like we've seen the last couple of weeks.
I'll jump in real quick and say, I trust that we're going to score our points. And I don't know that we're defensively quite there yet. I do think there are, I keep saying green shoots to a better defense, but it doesn't matter. The total points will strike me down there. But Adam, do you have any thought as to why the money might be moving to the under here? Is there anything that you saw out there, or do you think people are just chasing what they think is a big number?
I think a lot of it has to do with public perception. And I think that if you just look at the point spread in this game, I mean, Cardinals favored.
Yeah.
Like, really? That definitely feels like the national media, the national perspective is still very much skewed against the Seahawks, that this is indeed a really bad team. Like, who's the worst team in the league right now? Maybe the Broncos? Take your pick. I mean,
Chicago.
really bad. Chicago. Yeah. Oh, man. dude, watching that game last night, Chicago and the Commandos, like
So
that
bad.
definitely put into perspective where the Seahawks are in the pantheon of teams right now. They are not that bad. Those teams are god awful. They are absolutely terrible. So I think the national perspective is way too down on the Seahawks. And I think most people have watched the Cards seem to be one of those weirdly public teams, maybe because of Kyler. I think that may be what it is, but people have been paying attention, and I think they know that the Cardinals aren't all that good. So it's probably why they're hitting under. But man, Wilson, I love your bet here, man. I almost went with it. I almost did, because I think it's almost a freaking lock that there's over 50 points. Just ask yourself, you think both these teams could score 25 plus points on these god awful defenses?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I think so. I think partially people watch that Eagles game. They're like, oh, well, they held them to 20. And it's like, yeah, but like I think the Eagles are at 5-0. I think they're good. And they might be the class of the NFC, but I don't think that's saying a lot. With all those things, I don't think that's saying much. So I think
the Eagles don't have Eugene Smith either at quarterback. So
you very nice. I was like, who the heck is he talking? Eugene Robinson? Where's he go? Eugene Smith. Very nice. All right. So we landed on Gino, which is nice. And Adam, now we landed on your second down bet. What do you have in the middle there?
Speaking of my quarterback, Eugene, I really do believe in Gino this year. After 5 games, just seeing what he's been able to do. He's not doing it in fluky ways. He's actually going out there and playing high-level quarterback. Like, it's obvious. It jumps off the screen. So to me, it's super easy to bet on Mr. Eugene. And so over 268 and a half passing yards is minus 115. That's a pretty safe second down bet, but I'm into it, man. I think Gino's going to have at least 300 yards this game.
I find it interesting. And then Wilson, love your commentary on this, that like Vegas they took that big jump against the Lions, right? Vegas like, whoop, all right, 250, we got to hit this bar. And then it's just like incrementally, nudging upwards. And by the way, very quickly, if that DK touchdown or the DK touchdown he dropped, or the DK touchdown that got pulled back from, I still think a pretty ticky-tack hold. With that, he's over 300 again. That would have been the 3rd week in a row that he smashed 300. So I want this to continue. And again, it's like, if it doesn't, something jumped the timeline, because what we see is, like you said, super sustainable offense, and he's making the throws, so the only thing I could see here is that Seattle may want to commit to the run, maybe a bit more, but I still think he's easily in the 250 range. And once you're there, you talk about a missed tackle or something to get you over that hump. So Wilson, what do you think of Adam's second down play, dude?
Yeah, there's nothing to me that suggests that the Seahawks are going to go away from Gino or lean more on the running game, especially, Walker had the big run last game. Other than that, he's not looked amazing so far. He's still kind of getting his footing and that kind of stuff. There's nothing that tells me they aren't going to just lean on Gino again. Just 268 is a big number. That might be a third down for me personally, but I still think it'll probably hit.
Nice. And it's a fairly big number, but the Cardinals are also fairly bad at stopping the pass. Right. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. And one thing to piggyback with that there, Clinton, is that I think that Gino's going to have all day to throw the ball. And you give Geno Smith time, it's proven he's accurate. And he's going to find his playmakers down the field there. The Cards are 31st in the league in sacking the quarterback with 6 full sacks on the year. And this Seahawks offensive line is pretty darn good. So I just think he's going to have the opportunity to carve them up. And I know it's a big number, but even Vegas thinks it's more likely than unlikely.
Right, you got to pay for it. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. All right. So Wilson, I'm sure you have a third down bet that you want to carve up as well, my man. So what is your third down play?
Well, I know I actually just talked trash about Kenneth Walker, but my third down bet actually relates to him. He showed us he's explosive. Mm-hmm. He really, watching that run, he just takes off. Really, it's impressive. So I went down to the longest rush category.
Nice.
And for Walker, the line is at 15.5. for his longest rush of the game, and I'm going to take the over on that. Paying a little bit, which is it's minus 120, so paying a little bit, but I think he'll get into the secondary a couple times. The Cardinals linebackers are suspect, so I like Walker to rip off at least 1 yard of that kind of medium big play distance.
Yeah, Adam, are you feeling Kenneth to go for 16 on one of those rumbles?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many touches he's going to get, though. I think we're going to see a lot more DJ Dallas than maybe one would think, because with Penny injured, everybody's going to be like, oh, well, it's the Ken Walker show. And it's like, well, he's also a rookie. He's not awesome at pass protection yet, and has made some mistakes early on in this season. I could see Pete playing it safe and have a lot of DJ Dallas out there, but all he needs is one, right?
Yep.
And he is that explosive guy. If he had more than 10 attempts this week, I'd be kind of surprised. I really do think they're going to lean on the passing game. So it's a little tough for me. I just don't know that they're going to have enough opportunities for it to happen.
Yeah. I like the style of runs that can break those, like hence his 69-yard first touchdown of his career. He wasn't touched. Now, a lot of that was skill for not being touched, as Wilson talked about, really kicking that into second gear, kind of almost like an Arian Foster style, one cut and you see you later, gone. So if it does happen, I would expect that it's going to happen on one of those like little inside draws where you got the pull and pin, you're kicking out Beefy Boy or somebody like that, or maybe D-Lou coming around and you're getting a seal on the other side, and just there's enough. And again, the linebackers are meh at best on this team, right? And sometimes overly aggressive, which I think all leads me to me liking that bet quite a bit. All right, Wilson, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, guys. We are done with our third down. We're back to Adam. Adam, not only do you get honors off the tee box, but you get honors for the Fail Mary when you win, which is, I think, poetic justice. So Fail Mary.
Well, I'm going to give you my third down bet before I get to my.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, good.
Yeah,
well, this is like when you were on What If for the first time ever this week, right?
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's okay. I get on forgettable, and my takes are forgettable. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just cry myself.
Third down bet. Third down before we.
All right.
No big deal. Here. All right,
my third down bet this week. I really enjoyed my outcome of a first drive bet from last week, so I'm going to go with one of those again. Seattle to just score on their first drive is plus 120. So I think that they're going to run the ball up and down the field on the Cardinals. The Seahawks offense has looked good early in almost every single game that they've played. I think the odds of them scoring on their first possession are fairly high. So with plus odds, I like it. That's why.
Yeah, Wilson, what do you think about that plus 110, plus 120 play by the Montana man?
Yeah, I think initially hearing that, I had a little bit of hesitancy just because of the trauma from the old Russ days where, I'd be nervous about putting money on a touchdown in like the first half, but just to score on the first possession, you're absolutely right. Looked great early in games offensively, the whole game, but also early in the game. I like it.
Yeah, I like the idea in the sense that, first of all, getting paid is nice. So 120 is pretty good. The other piece of it too is like Gino's accuracy, right, and the way that Waldron has started games very purposefully, very very much with intent. Now I know every offensive coordinator has the intent to move the ball, but we've been showing that we certainly can. So I do dig that. So Adam, if you have your druthers, the coin toss, Seattle wins the coin toss. You still team defer, or what do you want?
I'm always team defer.
Oh,
I just think it makes the most sense to me with that opportunity towards the end of the first half, beginning of the second half to double up on scores. I mean, maybe with this particular team, it makes a hair more sense to receive just because defensively you're so terrible, and then maybe you're always playing from behind. But traditionally speaking, I've always been a deferred guy.
All right. Well, we don't need to defer any longer on the Fail Mary. So let's circle it back to you, Mr. Adams. So you get it. Again, honors out of the tee box, honors on fourth down here. Fail Mary, $1 scratcher, has to be plus 1,200 odds or longer. And what did you cook up for us this week?
All right. So this is a very simple one. Game goes to overtime, plus 1,200. So with these two teams, one of the things that I think a lot about is, number one, it's a divisional game, and those are always close. The Cardinals have played all very close games throughout this season, even went to overtime against the Raiders. The Seahawks have played close games every single game this season. So there's a decent chance that this could go to overtime, even if it is high scoring. So I figured as far as the Hail Mary bet goes, not a terrible bet.
It's a scratcher for a reason. Let's just all hope it's not 6-6. That's all.
I was just gonna say
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't end in a 6-6 tie, because that was brutal. All right, so I think that gets me up second here on the Hail Mary. I have a bit of a feeling that so it's funny, in the DraftKings app, I was looking for this straight up, right? So the straight up bet of Tyler Lockett first touchdown touchdown of the game was plus 1100. I'm like, dang it, and DK was plus 1100. I'm like, double dang it. Like I wanted Lockett at plus 1100. I'm like, no bueno. But then I hit the old SGP feature, the same game parlay feature. Funny enough, Lockett's odds moved to plus 1200 for first touchdown of the game, but you have to play another bet. You have to play the SGP to get a second bet. So I pair that with Fant over 24.5 yards receiving, which, I think is very possible. And he elevates me to plus 1300. I get the bet. So Lockett, first touchdown of the game, Fant to get 25 yards or over receiving, tidy plus 1300. I don't mind it. I like these kind of plays that are a little longer. I get to watch the entire game to see if this comes to, well, wait a second. That's ultimately and factually incorrect. But I do like the bet anyway. I like Lockett to start things off and get things cooking. So Mr. Wilson, how about your Hail Mary to end our week 6 here? What do you got, dude?
Well, I'm also using Lockett, and I'm putting all my eggs in one basket on the offense here.
Nice.
Going all in. So it's a big parlay because it's a lot of bets with not huge odds.
Let me sharpen the pencil. All right, here we go. What do you got?
I got Lockett anytime touchdown, Metcalf anytime touchdown.
Nice.
Metcalf over 84.5 yards, Geno over 254.5 yards, and Seahawks over 27.5 points. And that is plus 1300. So that's just hoping for a shootout and hoping that Metcalf and Lockett, share the love, which they have been so far for the most part this year, which I feel like maybe this is maybe just a false memory, but I feel like at least with Russ, like you kind of have, today's Metcalf's game or today's Lockett's game. Like, especially last week in New Orleans, they were both getting a lot of looks there, which I appreciated. And I'm taking that information into this week. Last week, I think I went for too long odds on my Hail Mary parlay. Kamara actually did hit the yardage, but nothing else worked out for me. So I'm going to go something a little easier.
That was the one I scolded you on too. I was like, that's the one that's going to bust. Yeah, about that. But I think in this one, I mean, and Adam, I'll toss to you real quick. It's like, hey, if the bonanza of this game happens and we get Seattle just humming, the nice part about Seattle is it's a little predictable in the sense that you're not, well, of course it might happen differently now, but you're not getting Eskridge or Goodwin or, the DJ Dallas touchdown that I think I took a couple of weeks ago. You're getting the stars. When Seattle is humming and hitting 30 something points, the stars are coming out at night and it's bumping that way. So, all right. So we got our different Hail Marys there. Adam, anyone in particular that, hearing all three, like, ooh, that one tickles my fancy. I might throw an extra $1 on that one for the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, they're all very interesting. The one thing about betting on two different guys to score is, I don't know, it's just a little more random to bet on who's going to score. Like you just never know with some of that. But to bet on both Metcalf and Lockett, I mean, that's about as, certain as you can get. I mean, you said it just right, Wilson. This year, it seems like Geno is a little better at being more even with who gets the ball and how often they get the ball, all that stuff. And Metcalf and Lockett have both been tearing it up. Now, traditionally, Lockett's kind of been the man against Cardinals. He's had a lot of big games against the Cardinals. So I'd be a little more inclined to bet on him. So that's one of the reasons why I like Clinton's Hail Mary there with, Lockett out of the gate there, scoring the first TD. But, they're Hail Marys for a reason, man. A lot of things have to go right. And I think betting offensively minded, as Wilson has, is a smart play.
I agree. All right, folks. So, hey, reminder out there. Hey, Adam, why don't you're actually the best at this. Why don't you tell people where they could find us and also how they can contribute and get involved and, do the thing you do because you say it like none other.
Well, here's the thing. So we do this for free for everybody forever. That's something that we're going to do because I feel it's important for even broke college kids like Wilson here to be able to watch and consume all the content, the amazing content that we put out for you guys. But there's a value proposition here. Like, it takes a little energy. It takes some effort to bring this sort of amazing stuff to you. I mean, Clinton, he's getting this rushed in before he goes to a wedding today. Wilson, he's out there maybe not drinking underage and maybe might be a little hungover today. Like, he had to go out of his way to make this happen. I'm out here freezing my balls off. It is 30 degrees in the hobo shack right now. The amount of value that came out of the show, the amount of effort that it is taken for all of us to bring this to you guys today, there's something to that. And if it does bring value to your life, if you feel that way, then this is a value for value proposition. You know, throw us a couple bones back. Doesn't have to be much. Maybe it's $1, maybe it's $5. But if this gave you $5 worth of value, think about that. Now, if you happen to be a broke ass catfish like I've been most of my life, that's fine. There's a lot of other ways that you can provide value back for the show. Comment, subscribe, share, write a review on iTunes, whatever it is, man. Just participate a little bit. If you do that, man, the Hawkra comes full circle for everybody, and we appreciate you.
That is it. That is how we rise the Hawkra together. So, boys, let the Cardinals come up to the Pacific Northwest, and let's win this freaking game. Let's win our bets, right? Great. And even more importantly, let's get to 3-3 because this division ain't great. The NFC is not great. Yeah, there's some big ass teams in the AFC, but we deal with them later. That's okay. Win this week. Let's all be in the green. And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.